Hello, welcome. This is Beenutt, and this is to put together a video detailing all the rules for my miniature football solitaire league. Many have asked me to put together a video explaining all the details of the solitaire league. And first thing we want to talk about is the figures that we use. What I use is the Haiti Repros and the Buzzball figures. The reason I use those is they're all similar in weight and size, and they're pretty much interchangeable. You can use those and have a fair match between teams. I usually have the offense, as you see here, in dark jersey and the defense in the white jersey. And when you look at the figures, we have 5 offensive linemen, any pose that you might want to use, a quarterback. And the quarterback is, I usually have one replaceable base, usually have a standstill base that you can remove, go back and forth during a play. Here's a standstill base you can see there, and it'll stick during a play, make him stationary. But to begin with, every team has a quarterback on a regular base. Usually have 2 running backs, and the way I do it is usually have one that will go to the right and one that will go to the left coming out of the backfield, and then we have 3 receivers that can vary in any purpose that you want to use them for. You can get them go straight, right, or left. And the defense, I usually have 4 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, and 2 of the linebackers I usually have are loopers, one going to the left and one going to the right. And then I have 4 corners or safeties. And these are the poses I usually use for each position, as you can see here. Now, as far as weight, I usually weight all of the figures according to how good the team is. For major colleges, the ones with a lot of tradition, the powerhouse teams, I usually weight all the way up to 4.0, and I use the putty that I put under the base. And you can vary that on how much, but I don't go over 4.0. That's the maximum limit. And the linemen are usually all the way up to 4.0. And you can do that as you see fit on that. The next thing we'll do is go over the passing. We use the passing sticks, and I'll bring those out in just a moment. Okay, here's some of the equipment needed for my miniature football solitaire game. We'll go over each of these. This long stick here is the passing measuring stick, and you can just see it's divided in 2 colors, the red and white. And we'll measure this. The entire length of the stick is 11 inches, and you'll divide it equally, 5.5 inches for the red and 5.5 inches for the white. And the way the measuring stick is used is during a play you'll have the quarterback back in the pocket, and you'll have a receiver out in the open that is unengaged and is eligible to catch a pass. And during the play, during a stoppage, before the pass is thrown, you will take the measuring stick and you'll go from center of helmet to center of helmet, from the quarterback to the receiver. If that distance falls within the red portion here, you will use a red stick. If it falls within the white portion, you will use a white stick. If it's past the white stick portion, you'll use a blue stick. So that determines which passing stick you'll use during the play. These are the 3 passing sticks here, the different lengths here. This is the red stick. So if it measured within the red portion here, what you would do is put the red stick in front of the receiver, and then you'll place the ball at the end of the stick. Then remove the stick and turn the board on and see if the receiver will make contact with the ball. Now, there are 2 types of balls you can use. The one that I use in my league is this hanging ball on a string, and you would place the ball at the end of the stick as you see here. Then remove the stick and you will cut the board on, and if the receiver makes contact with the ball, it is complete. The other type of ball we use is just a stationary magnet at the end of the stick, and you can use any size that you would like. Place that down, and if the receiver makes contact with the magnet, it's complete. So these are the three measuring sticks. You have the red, white, and blue, depending on the length of the pass. And the only other equipment you're going to need is some dice, 2 dice, and what this is for is field goals. And you can make up your own probability with different distances on the probability of the dice. Usually I divide it maybe anything under 25 yards. You'll have 2 through 10 as being good, and you go for it that way till you get in longer distance over 50 yards. Maybe you'll do 7 through 12 is good. And during a field goal, you'll just roll the dice and see if the field goal attempt is good or a missed field goal. So those are the pieces of equipment that you're going to need for this Solitaire league. And next we'll go over kickoffs. Okay, this is a typical setup for a kickoff. You have the kicking team, which will always be the white jersey portion of your team is the kicking team, and the dark jersey will be the return team. And the kicking team will line up on the 30-yard line, the receiving team will line up on the 50, and you'll have 10 men here on the return team, and then 1 man will be set back here. You can't see it on the camera, but he'll be back at the back of the end zone waiting to receive the ball. Okay, to simulate the kickoff, depending on the size board you use, you'll let the board run for a certain amount of seconds. For this size board, I do 4 seconds. So we'll let the kickoff go turn the board on for 4 seconds. 1,002, 1,003. At that time, I'll move the board here so you can see. At that time, you will place the kick returner between the hash marks in the end zone. And you can determine where you want the return figure to be. In this case, we'll be over here to get away from the cover man. At this point, any unengaged figures on the kicking team can be turned towards the returner as seen fit. Non-engaged means the base is not making contact with the opposing team. So at this point, we'll cut the board on, and the only other time we'll cut the board off during this play, you'll get one more time to cut the board off, and it will be determined by the kicking team, and they can cut the board off if no member of the kicking team is within 10 yards of the kick returner. They can cut it off one time and readjust anyone that's not engaged. And we'll simulate that here as we go. So turn it on. Okay, the kicking team elects to cut the board off, and they can make one adjustment towards the kick returner as long as nobody is within 10 yards, and that's the case here. He's almost 20 yards away, the nearest person. And that's it, no more adjustments. And you see here, the kicking team tackles the return man at the 9-yard line. So the kick return team will get the ball at the 9-yard line. Now, the kicking team, we'll simulate that again. Once the kicking team has come down at the end of the 4 seconds, we'll say this is the end of the 4 seconds, he can determine whether or not he wants to return the ball out of the end zone. He can take a touchback at that point. He does not have to come out of the end zone. So he has a decision to make every time at the end of the 4 seconds whether to come out of the end zone or not. But he has that option. Now, as far as the game rules, and these can vary on how you choose, the length of the game usually lasts about 1.5 hours to 2 hours. And we go by the number of plays. So you're going to run 15 plays per half. And kickoffs do not count as a play. Kickoffs and extra points do not count. Only plays from scrimmage count as a play. So you'll get 15 plays per half from scrimmage, and that will determine the length of the game. Okay, now we'll go over some plays from scrimmage. First of all, we'll talk about the offense and how they line up. Just like regular football, you have to have 7 figures on the line of scrimmage within a yard of the line of scrimmage. Anyone not on the line of scrimmage must be at least 5 yards back, as you see this receiver is, and no member of the backfield can be more than 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So in this case, the line of scrimmage is at the 25. You cannot have anyone line back here. Make sure you can see it. Line back here past the 5-yard line. That's illegal. It has to be somewhere within 20 yards. The quarterback has to be behind the center in any location. And these running backs have to be within the tackles. So they can be anywhere in here. They just can't be outside the tackles as like shown there. So this basic lineups for the offense. The quarterback, he can either be on his normal regular base that moves, or in a passing situation you'll have one stationary base that you always keep at the side of the football field, and you can put him on that as a stationary quarterback back to pass. Now the defense, they can line up in basically any position they want to. They can even stack. You can put one right behind the other, as long as they're on sides, and they can be placed as far back as you want. So really any formation they want you can have. You can place them in the gaps, anywhere you would like. So every play starts out with the quarterback has the ball to begin with on every single play. He's going to have it. And we'll line up in like this and this on this play. Now, during the play, you will get 5 stoppages during the play before you have to make a decision to run or pass. And once you decide to pass, you must pass the ball at that point. But right now, the quarterback will start out with it, and will turn on the board. He can let it go as long as he wants to and stop it. Okay, now that's 1 stoppage every time. So he's got 4 more left. Okay, here are the rules about running and pitches and things of that nature. The quarterback can pitch the ball to any person in front or behind as long as they're within 2 base lengths, and you can measure that apart. These 2 figures are within 2 base lengths of the quarterback. So the quarterback can pitch the ball to number 1, and he can also pitch it to number 20, and it's not considered a pass. But if he does pitch it forward behind the line of scrimmage, then the defense can adjust anyone that's not engaged. So if the quarterback were to pitch it to number 20, because he is ahead of the quarterback and behind the line of scrimmage, the defense would get to adjust. But there's no throwing the ball or anything like that. It's an automatic pitch. He could pitch it to 20, then any non-engaged defensive figure can pivot and turn towards the running back. But if he pitches behind him, automatic pitch to number 1, in this case, no defensive person can adjust. So you would just cut the board on and you would let the play go. Now, in this case, we're going to adjust 16. So we actually turned 3 figures. Now, anytime you stop the board and you adjust, the defense gets to adjust 1 more than what the offense did. The only exception to that is if nobody adjusts on the offense, then nobody can adjust on the defense. So in this case, we adjusted 3, so we can actually adjust 4 people on the defense that's not engaged. We'll cut the board back on, quarterback still. Okay, that's 2 stops. As you see here, we can adjust again. You can adjust linemen or anyone not engaged to help with blocking. We can't, okay, the offense is set. They made 2 adjustments, so the defense can make 2. And cut the board back on. Okay, you see the heavy pass rush here. That's the 3rd stop. Okay, it looks like he's going to get tackled behind the line of scrimmage. There's really no options. He is touching a defense. The only option is number 20, and you have someone here to make a play on a pass. So if we were to try to pass the ball to number 20, we would take out the measuring stick, as we showed you at the beginning. You would measure from helmet to helmet. It would be a red stick. The problem is on this play, if you lay down the red stick, the ball would be right here, and the defensive person is in a position to make the interception. So we cannot throw it to number 20. The defensive player is in position. There's no throwaways in this game. So right now it looks like there's no hope for this play. He's going to get sacked behind the line of scrimmage. We let the board keep going, and he's tackled right there by number 57. So that's a loss of 2 on the play. And we'll show a couple more different plays to detail different circumstances. Okay, we'll demonstrate another play. The quarterback back again. This time we're going to try to show the effects of an option play with the different stoppages. All 3 will go towards the left side, and since you adjusted 3 here, we can adjust 4 here. And you see the play developing. This is the 2nd stoppage. This time nobody is being turned, so the defense cannot turn anyone. Okay, that's the 3rd stoppage. And now comes the point where the offense is going to have to decide. This number 57 is in good position to make a play on both the quarterback and the running back. Now, that's the 4th stoppage. Now, since 57 is engaged, he cannot be turned. And the quarterback can adjust to go down the field and run the ball, or he can throw it. We're going to adjust the quarterback so we can adjust some on defense. Number 20 is also going out for a pass. Now, as you see here, that's the 4th stop. You only have 1 more stop. You can see they got everything covered over here on the left side. But look over here to the right side. A receiver breaks free, and there's no safeties back to protect. So the offense is going to try a pass to number 80, and we'll measure that. And it's a white stick, so we take out the white stick, lay it down, and then use the ball on the string to simulate the ball. Now, at that point, as we see, we cannot turn the receiver. He is set to go like he was. You can't turn him. But anybody that's not engaged on defense, we can turn towards the ball now. So now we have people making a play on the ball for the pass. And we'll cut the board on and see if the pass is complete. And it was incomplete. As you see, the ball did not move. Now what you have to do is let the receiver pass by the ball for 1 base length. Once he's passed the ball by more than 1 base length, the play is over. But right now, the ball is still in the air. And 23 could come up with the interception. So you have to let it keep running. and he passed by more than the base length and there was no one that made contact with the ball. So that play, the pass is deemed incomplete. Now, one other thing we'd like to go over is pass interference. If the receiver is going towards the ball, as in this case, going towards the ball, and the defender comes in contact with the receiver and pushes him out of the way or makes any contact that changes his direction towards the ball, then it will be interference. It can be offensive interference or defensive pass interference. But if the contact is made within the base length of the ball, it's anyone's ball and there's no pass interference called. So they can struggle with each other within a base length of the actual football and there's no interference. It's whoever makes contact with the ball first is who receives the pass. Okay, this time we're going to try to simulate just a basic running play up the middle. And the quarterback, as always, is going to start out with it, number 16. And you can see here we have one stop. There's no adjustment, so no one on the defense can adjust. And as you can see here, the looper is coming in to try to make contact with the quarterback. So at this point, we're going to adjust and he's going to pitch it back to number 1. He's within 2 base lengths, he's behind, so no one can turn on the defense. And here we go, the ball's actually going to number 1. You can see here, now you let the board, you can't make any stops. I'll just cut it off so you can see what's going on. You let the board, you keep going, and the play will just develop as the runner continues on. Now, one thing I wanted to point out, when the runner crosses the line of scrimmage, if a defensive person, we'll take this as example, if the defensive person is not engaged in the midst of the line of scrimmage and he's more than 5 yards away from the running back, he can be turned during a stop and the defense gets 1 stop. So in this case, if number 23 was like this, you could turn him, he's more than 5 yards away, you could stop the board once he's across the line of scrimmage, stop it 1 time and adjust him and let the play continue. And number 1 still has it. And it looks like number 57 made a play and it was a gain of 3 yards on the play, right up the middle. So a good, nice gain of 3 yards right up the middle for number 1. Okay, now on this play we're going to simulate just a standard passing play with the quarterback. He's on his stationary base now that doesn't move. He's right in the middle of the field. It can't be more than 20 yards behind this line of scrimmage. So we'll turn the board on. The quarterback has it in the shotgun. And we have 1 stop on the play. And he's going to let it keep going. If the offense doesn't adjust, the defense does not get to adjust. And now we have number 20 back here for a pass play. Number 20, and it's going to be, it's barely past the white, barely past the white stick, so it's going to be a blue stick. Good long stick at the end. Lay down the ball. Now the defense can adjust, even if they're out of bounds. They can adjust towards the ball. And here we go. We have number 20 going for the blue stick. And you see that time is a good example of pass interference. Number 92 came across and knocked number 20 out of his path. So that's defensive pass interference. And in my league, it's like the pros, it's where as the ball is where the infraction occurred. So it'll be 1st and 10 over here at the 46-yard line on this play. I'm simulate one more thing about a pass play. Say in that instance, this was a situation and the receiver comes towards the ball and he makes contact with the ball. Okay. If a defensive person is more than 10 yards away, he can be adjusted. At that point, you get one stoppage after the completion, and they can stop it at any time. So in this case, they stop it right there after the completion. The defense stops it. Both of these are more than 10 yards away, so they can adjust. The offense can never adjust after catching the ball. They adjusted when the offensive receiver went out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Now we'll show another type of running play with more people in the backfield, a basic power play. The quarterback has it. That's one stop, two, and now you can see the different options coming up. They're going to try to attack. The left side. Quarterback still has it. That's three stops. The quarterback still has the ball. And that was a great play by the defense. Number 57 attacked the quarterback and sacked him back at the 23. We'll pretend like he did not make the play. Now at this point, if you see him back getting tackled, you can actually scramble back. To the other side of the field. And then just keep trying to scramble back and forth. And that play was dead. That's just great defense, covered every side of the angle. So these plays give you some ideas of different options as far as passing, option plays, basic runs right up the middle, things of that nature. As we talked about before, the extra points are automatic. When you score a touchdown, it's an automatic extra point. And if you want to go for two, you go for two from the 5-yard line, and it doesn't count as a play towards the number of plays. Whether you go for two or just a standard extra point, they do not count as plays. So 15 plays per half. One other thing about the passing sticks that I forgot to mention, I wanted to give you the lengths of each stick. See here, the red stick's a little over 1.5 inches. The blue stick is about 3.5, or the red stick is 3.5. And the blue stick is 5. And those can vary upon the size of your field. And it can vary on what percentage completions you want to have. You can make shorter sticks if you want higher percentage. But those are the different lengths for the different size passing sticks. Okay, we'll do one more passing play here with let's try to simulate some different situations. Quarterback is back to pass. One stop. Two stops. Three stops. Now, here are the different options you have after the third stop. You have a looper coming right towards the quarterback. You only have one eligible receiver open. He's out of bounds. He cannot be adjusted. He's engaged. He's engaged. Only number 26. So we can adjust him. Now we can, during the stoppage, you can make the quarterback scramble, put on his movable base, and he can scramble to try to get away from the looper, but that counts as an adjustment. So you have 2 adjustments. We get to adjust 3 on the defense. We'll turn it on, and he is sacked. You got to him before he cut the board on. Now when you adjust, after you adjust, you have to cut the board back on at least for a split second and turn it off again. So the defense made a play, but I just wanted to show you that you can put your movable base back on and try to scramble to get out of trouble during the play. So I hope you enjoyed this video about the rules, and I will post this on my website. It's www.beenutt.com. That's BEENUTT.com. I'll post a link to this video on my website, and if you have any questions, you can email me at mail@beenutt.com, and I will answer any of your questions and try to help you any way that I can. But hopefully this will give you some good ideas to start your own miniature football solitaire league and have lots of fun and creative ways to go about playing some of these games. If you have any questions, just email me or visit my website, www.beenutt.com. Okay, before I go, one more thing that I want to simulate is punts. Now on 4th down, the offense can line up and must declare if they're going to line up in a punting formation or if they're just strictly just going to go for the 4th down. They can go for it on 4th down regardless of the distance. They can line up like a regular play and they have to let the defense know. But they also can call punt. And these are the formations for a punt play. The punting team must have 2 runners that are lined up to go downfield, as you see here. Okay, the defense must not put anyone on those 2 runners. They must be allowed to freely go down the field. But they can rush the punter, and the punter will always be on a stationary base, as you see here. So you've got people rushing the punter. Now, you can call a fake during this play. If the quarterback wants to go for it during a stoppage of the play, he can actually hand the ball off or throw it to any of these 3 receivers. He cannot throw it to any of the runners that are going down the field. So this number and this number are out of play if they decide to go for it. But during the play, if they see that this number 20 is open downfield, or this number 28 is open, or this number 1 is open, he can throw it to him, or he can put on his movable base and run down the field. So we'll cut the board on. And the defense, before I let the play go, the defense must have 1 kick returner down the field. And he is set out of play at the end of the end zone, waiting to return the kick. So we let the play go, let it develop. The runners are going down the field. That's 1 stop. Okay, now as you see, there's no one getting open, and he is not going to run the ball because if he tries to run the ball, he'll have to put on his movable base, and that will count as adjustment, and then the defense would get to adjust to go try to tackle him. So he's actually going to punt the ball at this point before he gets sacked. Now, this is how you determine the length of the punt. You look at the furthest man downfield that's unengaged for the kicking team, and it is this number 80 down at the 45-yard line. So at that point, the kicking team will place their kick returner in between the hashes at least 15 yards, no, 10 yards past the furthest man. So we will get to place it at the 35 in between the hash marks. So we'll place it right here, farther away from this man as possible. And that's where he will start to return the football. Make sure you can see that. Here's the kick returner, 10 yards behind the furthest person downfield. At this point, the kicking team can adjust. Any non-engaged. So here we have the play set up. The kick returner is going to return the kick. And he returns it for about 8 yards down up to the 43-yard line. So that's how punts are simulated here in my football league to add some realism into the punts.